Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Unbiased Truth, and I'm here to talk about the recent ICE activity that's been going on in Minneapolis and the wider state of Minnesota, and especially the Alex Pretti killing. But before we get into that, I want to look at some more newer footage that has come to light following his murder.
Moment the news movement filmed on January 13th in Minneapolis, showing a man who appears to be Alex Pretti interacting with federal immigration agents 11 days before Border Patrol shot and killed him. Our footage was analyzed by the BBC, whose facial recognition technology confirmed his identity to a 97% degree of accuracy. On the morning of January 13th, our team received a tip that federal agents were blocking a street at the corner of East 36 and Park Avenue in Minneapolis. We arrived around 10:15 a.m. We saw observers shouting at the agents as they walked back to their vehicles. When they started driving away, the man kicked their taillight. An agent then got out of the vehicle, grabbed him, and pushed him to the ground.
So obviously this is like almost a repeat of behavior, because it's also come to light that he is part of a wider organization that targets ICE agents and follows them around, gets their license plates, and some of the members even like threaten their lives, and they're armed as well, and he was armed as well. But he already had a trend of being involved in these sort of activities, as we see. I'm not saying that I condone his murder and that the way it happened was wrong, but he was already in that orbit of activity that made him more susceptible to these violent repercussions, honestly.
During the altercation, agents fired tear gas and pepper balls into the crowd. They continued to hold the man down before they retreat, and he walks away. The man in our footage is wearing a similar outfit to what Pretti was wearing on the day he was killed. What appears to be a gun is also visible above his waistband.
And from my understanding, from the videos that I have seen, I'm sure we've all seen the video of the Alex Pretti murder and the Nicole Renee Good murder as well. But in that circumstance of the former, is that he came armed with a gun. He wanted to interfere the operations of, not the ICE officials, I forgot what they were called, but he wanted to interfere with that operation that they were conducting. And he came in, he was trying to defend her or whatever. And eventually one of the agents came and tried to disarm him and took his gun out, which I've seen split-second screenshots of the event. And while they're taking his gun out, his gun, which is known for having a faulty firing mechanic, it shot. And one of the other agents that was kind of like putting him on the ground said gun, 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 and they thought that he fired the gun, and they all unfortunately killed him. Like I said, I don't condone this murder, but you're eventually having tensions just rise in the state, and it's continuing to bubble up, and eventually it'll probably reach a boiling point when you have people like this opposing anything that the administration does.
Here, he continues to stand at the scene. On the day he was killed, the Department of Homeland Security claims Pretti, a 37-year-old ICU nurse, approached officers holding a handgun. That claim has been contradicted by analysis of bystander videos from multiple news investigations, which concluded that Pretti was holding a phone, not a gun, when he was pinned to the street.
See, the problem with having people like this that just run amok in our society is that whether you condone the operations of ICE and the federal government at large, is that by opposing them, you're really putting yourself into harm's way. And by also following them around, And in many cases, these people do instigate it. It's like, in the BLM riots and protests were occurring nationwide, is that they were going up to them saying, oh yeah, you cops are jerks, you guys are assholes, you guys should die, and getting in the cops' faces, almost near like trying to get physical with them. And then at first, a lot of cops wouldn't react to that, and eventually they would. And it just triggers a whole cascade of events, because you have plenty of good cops, but you have several cops that do get really aggressive. I've been at the other end of it, cops that do get aggressive and they get physical, and by pushing them over closer to the edge, you're not helping the situation at all. But this is what they view as a sort of way to make amends for justice in their own view.
Shortly after the altercation we filmed here on January 13th, federal agents drove away. Soon after that, we left the scene. Shortly after the altercation.
Yeah, so essentially, my point of view is I support ICE, and I support the operations that the government, federal government, and Trump are undertaking in general, by and large. But I don't agree with every motivations and every actions that every agent does during their operations. I don't agree with how they get, first of all. And there's right and wrong, and it's unfortunate how this man was killed. It really shouldn't have happened. But it's even unfortunate if the truth is that his gun misfired and they mistook him for that. Should I think there should be justice? Yes. Some sort of way I believe that there should be. But that shouldn't also mean like nationwide we should just have no immunity for ICE too. Because they're saying, reveal the name of the killer. But if they do, definitely the organization that's already doing this that he was a part of, they're definitely going to let go and mess with him and maybe even mess with his family in a very serious manner. So I'm not for that, and I agree with the greater goal of it. But also the other point we have to consider is that when conservatives bring up the fact, oh yeah, well, Obama deported way more people, and Human was with Obama at the time when he was doing that, and there was no backlash from liberals back then. And while that is true, and I do agree with that, oh yeah, they're both deporting, and Obama deported a lot more illegal migrants in his tenure than Trump so far. That's true, but it's also true the fact that the operation and the scale and the effect that they were conducting their operations, the manner in which that they were conducting the operations and how they did it in general, by and large, really shifts the public perception. You have to understand that, Obama wasn't going in and doing it as in your face as Trump is doing, even if he was deporting more people. And in general, they said that he had a lot more due process in his methods, and I agree with some of that, and I don't agree with some of it as well. I think at the level of, say, we have 40 million or 50 million illegal migrants in this country, 20 million in the last couple of years under the Biden administration, I definitely believe, you can't have due process for everyone. If you just have if they just have legitimate proof that you're in this country legally, you shouldn't have a court case that lasts several months. I feel like that will hinder the progress that you do. And sure, sacrifices need to be made. But the point still stands that Obama did it in a more efficient and different manner, cognizant of the way public perception would ultimately view him, by and large. Trump in general, we all know Trump doesn't care. Some of the unsavory things he does, whether we like it or not, he just does it. He's brash. Obama had a lot more tact to the situation. So even if he did deport people, people are more against what Trump is doing because he does it so brazen. But in general, I agree with the mission that it is. I don't believe with all the methods, but we'll see how it ultimately ends up in the long run. Thanks for watching.